Hi everybody, welcome to After Effects Interface Intro. Today we're going to talk about the interface of After Effects and how it works. First of all, we started talking about which programs best to use for what you're creating when using Adobe. Premiere Pro is used for videos, After Effects for special effects, Audition is a sound editor, InDesign you get to do layout, Photoshop, photo editing, which is a raster art, and then Illustrator is where you're going to create vector art, which is commonly used for logos. So we have established that After Effects is the editing software that we need to use to create our special effects that we desire to create. And today what I'm going to do is cover the interface of After Effects. We're going to talk about the panels, what is a composition, how do we see if there's an effect on a layer, and how to add one, and then also how you can tell if it's a 3D layer. To start out, you're going to want to open Adobe After Effects. So go ahead and launch the program. Once it's open, you'll notice that there's a lot of panels here, and it reminds you probably a lot of Premiere Pro. So it is very similar to Premiere Pro, but it has a lot of very unique characteristics that we're going to explore in the next few tutorials. Let's see, when After Effects launched, you were going to choose if you wanted to start a new project or open an existing project. You're going to go ahead and select New Project. And then I went ahead and went File, Import File, and I opened up a project so you could see what it looks like so we can start talking about the panels. So the first panel you're going to notice is at the very top, and that's the different tools that you're going to use. If you hover over a tool, it will tell you what that tool does. You will also see in parentheses a letter. That letter would be the shortcut you can use on the keyboard to get to that tool. When you do a lot of editing, you're going to find that it's very helpful to know those shortcuts. For example, the V tool, getting the selection tool, is a very, very important one to be able to quickly locate. Underneath the Tools panel, you're going to see the Project panel. The Project panel is where you will have your folders. And here's a folder I opened already. If I twirl this open, I'm going to see the different compositions. So compositions, this is going to be where all your source material is housed in this project. And compositions are like containers for layers. So in a composition, if you select a composition and you look up above in this panel, it'll show you a thumbnail view as well as the dimensions, length, and frame rate of that clip that you've selected. So when you select different ones, you're going to get different information there. To open a composition down in the timeline, you're going to double click on the composition, and then you'll see that it will populate your timeline panel down below. Now this is very similar to Photoshop in the layers. The order in which you have the layers is going to be very important on what you can see, just like Photoshop. You can turn on this little eye tool next to a layer to hide a layer that you're looking at. So by selecting the eye, you're going to turn off these different layers. That will help you find which layer you want to work on. If I wanted to work with layer 6, I would select layer 6. I could twirl it down. Inside here, I'll see that there are many effects. FX stands for special effects. And I can see if there's any effects that are applied to this layer. And I can also see all of my settings. These are they look like little time watches, little time stoppers, and this is going to let you know if you've added keyframes on your timeline, what the different keyframes will be at the different locations here in your project. Now these files I'm using are from the lynda.com that I imported in here so that we could use this as an example. And these were exercise files that they let you use if you're a member. Effects allow you to stylize the layers, and FX shows what effects are on the layer. You twirl the triangle to see what has been changed. There's different options that will automatically appear here, but you can also add additional items to these different layers. If it's 3D, you're going to see this little cube here on the right, and this allows you to even use flat images. They can be treated like 3D by allowing you to have cameras and lights that you are going to adjust to give it that 3D appearance. You'll notice when you're looking at this timeline that there are no special effects on any of these layers. There is 3D enabled. We can see that by the cube, but there is no FX. So there are no special effects on these layers. So I double clicked on a different composition, and the compositions will just come in right next to each other down here on the timeline. And you will see that on a finished glass pan that there is a special effect on this shape layer. So when I'm looking at layer 2, shape layer, there's FX, which is the special effects. If I twirl open this layer, I will see that the special effect that is added here is a linear wipe. So when I come back here, I'm going to see that there's a transition starts and there's the linear wipe. And so that's a special effects that is applied to that layer. You can turn that off if you want to see what it looks like without the special effects. So by clicking on, there's so many detailed items here that you'll explore as you get more comfortable in After Effects that you can add as you go. Now in Premiere Pro, we export a project if we are going to upload it to YouTube. If you're working in After Effects, you're going to render that project. And I'm going to cover rendering in a separate video, but I wanted you to know that if you want to get this project out of After Effects to bring into Premiere Pro, you would want to render it, or if you wanted to save it and upload it to YouTube. Now, just similar to Premiere Pro, in your timeline, this blue indicator here, we're going to call it a CTI, current time indicator, just like we do in Premiere Pro. And when we click on the CTI and we rotate it back and forth, that would be scrubbing. So a lot of those terms that you have used in video previously are the same. It's just getting comfortable and locating what you're looking for. All right, I'd like to thank you for your time as we explored the beginning of how the interface works in Premiere Pro, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.